Well. Back to be live here on the CantinaMX podcast, our first broadcast of 2019. Glad to have you with us as always. My name is John Jagu. I'm not driving a car, which is nice. Can give you about 84% more of my attention than I was when I was driving. But glad to have you with us here, our 2019 edition of the CantinaMX podcast. Let's see, I want to do some counting here. So going into our fifth year, believe it or not, of podcasting. I don't know what that says about us, but I know what it says about y'all. And what it says about y'all is you guys enjoy quality Mexican soccer commentary, talk, opinions, prediction, desmadre. We have it all for you here in the CantinaMX podcast, and we will continue to do so in this year of our Lord, 2019. Big year for Mexican soccer. There's a lot of things that are kind of on the precipice, which we will discuss a little later. But before we do that, we have to introduce our esteemed panel. Well, right now we just have one of them, but we'll hopefully have other folks join us tonight. Joel Aceves joins us from California. Joel, Happy New Year, sir. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and season.
Igualmente, John. Ready to start a new year of Cantina shenanigans.
Looking forward to it, Joel. It's been a while since I've been on the show. I got the weather by, it just so happened, Joel, that my schedule did not allow for me to appear on the CantinaMX podcast while Club America not only defeated but crushed Pumas, but then went on to beat in the final. So my schedule just would not allow me to participate in the CantinaMX podcast. But and of course we had the holiday too. But we are glad to be back. Boy, 2019 is going to be a very, in my opinion, is going to be a year that's going to set the course of Mexican soccer in a direction for the next decade. Whether it, and I guess depending on decisions that are made, what direction is it going to go? And I think that is a topic that we can certainly discuss tonight. And of course, we'll also be talking about more current topics. Of course, the Clausura 2019 season gets going. Will America be the next team to win a doblete? We're going to talk Christian Pulisic tonight and his transfer over to Chelsea, which has sent shockwaves amongst, well, at least the Mexico fans. Particularly here in the U.S., so we'll talk about that, and also Mexico as well, and whatever else comes up here on the CantinaMX podcast. So we're happy that you guys are joining us live on the YouTube, and please feel free to chat. We'll hopefully be able to play along, and of course, for those of you that subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, I'm sure you're very happy this morning to see that the podcast was available for you to listen to on your drive time commute or your train commute. Or if you just enjoy so much that you just want to listen to us there at the office. So however it is that you guys listen to us, we certainly appreciate your continued patronage. Joel Aceves, Club America wins the Apertura 2018. They're poised with a very strong team to continue to do a lot of damage in Liga MX. The damage, frankly, they've done to their rivals, where in the last, 4 or 5 years, they don't lose to Chivas or to Cruz Azul or to Pumas. And for fans that are not America fans, like you and me, these are going to be this could be the start of some pretty dark years for us, Joel.
Yeah, it can, Jon. Yeah, it can. They have definitely established their paternity. I'll give them that much.
Their hegemony over the league, for all of the, and I'll be the first to admit that I was dead wrong for all of the, payasadas that we said about and the nicknames. We call them Jimmy Bath Salts. You call them Santiago Bathrooms. but Santiago Baños and Miguel Herrera have done pretty well. They've they haven't hit on all the players that they went and brought in, but they've hit on enough. And to me, the biggest difference between the way America has done and Chivas and Cruz Azul, not necessarily as much Pumas because I think Pumas is kind of on the same track, is yes, they do out and get players, whether they're foreign, occasionally a Mexican, but their youth players have been able to fill in the cracks, and they've played very well, and that I think is a sign of a well-run organization. And at Club America, there's no drama. That we have Miguel Herrera as the coach, and there's no drama, which which goes to show you how much he's matured. You don't hear about the players going out and doing the desmadre at night at the discos and this and that. So it's, I mean, it's and frankly, Joel, in my opinion, they are doing exactly what they need to do with Diego Lainez. So they don't precipitate a transfer when it doesn't have to happen. When you're not ready to accept the economic aspects of a deal, because frankly, in my opinion, he's worth a lot more. So it's for like I said, for folks that aren't American, and of course for America fans, they're like, well, this is how it normally is. I don't know why you guys should expect anything different. And that's just not the that's just unfortunately for fans of Pumas or for fans of Chivas or fans of Cruz Azul, fans of Tigres, Monterrey, that there has definitely been a change, and it's got. Hoyt, I just feel dirty. I just feel dirty saying it, Hoyt. I'll let you say it. That way it'll be on your conscience and not mine. But it's I can't do it. I can't say it.
You can't say it, Yon.
No,
Is that which cannot be mentioned?
that's right. It cannot be what is what is going to happen with Club America and Liga MX. So we'll just say that we as someone who follows soccer, especially Mexican soccer, to see a team that has stability and the wherewith, not just stability, but a vision and a direction, and obviously the financial support in order for that. But I mean, it's not like they're breaking the bank. I mean, they're doing very well, and they're positioned to have a very nice deep run for the next 2 or 3 years, maybe even longer in the MX. And yeah, for non-America fans, it's they're going to be tough to beat, and I think that's the message that we're trying to convey here. So maybe we can bring on an Americanista and listen to them tell us about the grandeza and all the pendejadas that they say about, well, what did you expect? This is who we are. We're the best team. We're the best, blah, 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 blah. We get it. But the sad thing is that in this case, at least for now, they are correct. All right, we're done. Yeah, we're not talking about it. We're done talking about Club America, and we can move on to other topics. No más. We can now move on to more pressing issues.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just to cap it off, I think if you're a fan, if you're an aguilucho, I think it's it's been a good couple of years for them, and they did recover. I thought it was going to be a bit more difficult once Pelaez left, but I would say Piojo has shown he's coming to his own, man. Piojo doesn't get enough credit. I still seen how a lot of Americanistas did not even want him, or were getting ready to give him the boot.
Crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, if you see his numbers, man, you really won't find anything better in Liga MX, and anything coming from abroad is a crapshoot.
I have to
So
admit, I really do respect the way that Miguel Herrera has bounced back from what it was that he did. I mean, he admittedly was unceremoniously booted from his dream job,
Yeah,
and was able to. There were a lot of places where that could have been the end of it, and he would never work again. He'd probably be a TV pundit. But as it turned out, he gets the gig back in Tijuana, and I'll be honest, I think that Miguel Herrera is someone who, I guess, one of the consentidos of Televisa. So I don't necessarily think that it was going to be all over for him. But they gave him another opportunity. But the most important thing about it is that he ran with it and has done extremely well with it,
you,
and he should be
you,
commended for that.
and there's one thing that he doesn't get much credit for, uh, and that's the fact that he outcoached pretty much everyone in Liga MX. And we're talking about coaches that someone like Caixinha, for example, who was getting praised when he won with Santos, and all this talk about how because he's a foreign coach and he brings new ideas, and how Mexican coaches have stagnated or they have nothing to offer. And then you see what Piojo has been doing and crickets, you know?
No, you're exactly right. I mean, he is, clearly, and has been for, at least since he got back into the coaching, has been the most impressive coach in Liga MX, Mexican coach in Liga MX. I mean, we can't forget that even in Tijuana, Joel,
Yeah,
he was. I mean, Tijuana, had they not had a liguilla, just had straight up, calendar and table full season, he would have won the championship with Tijuana. I mean, he got the most points in the 34 games of the year he was there before he went back to Club America. So yeah,
yeah,
he has been a
you know,
sensational
and
coach.
yeah, seeing that's very impressive. And it's funny because we'll give more credit to someone for Almeida for winning Copa MX and the Super Cup. Because I remember even at that point, a lot of my Chi hermanos were seeing how much more successful Almeida was, and here he is struggling to qualify to the league. You know, making up all these excuses. Well, the fans are making all these excuses, but I mean, look at what Piojo even did with Cholos. So I mean, guy deserves a lot of credit, and I could see him taking over the national team at some point down the line.
Yeah, I think that if we've talked about it on shows in the past. It's he's excuse me, he's definitely the in my opinion the first one off the bench if things don't go well
For
for
Tata.
Tata Martino, which and this is a Gold Cup year, and with what's staring Mexico in the face right now is uh, playing a Gold Cup where, and I'm not so sure that they're going to be able to have the Confederations Cup in 2021, but for it's something to play for, if it's there, and the competition is going to start getting a little stiffer in the region at the same time that Mexico is going to have to go through a generational change. And, coaches get fired when there's generational changes because the team's results aren't as consistent as one would expect when they have a team that's been playing together for, in this case in Mexico, for the past 8 years. It's been, essentially the same players. Well, that's not going to happen moving forward. So that's going to be a big challenge for Tata Martino, which is why I fully expect Joel for Tata Martino to bring in the old guard for the Gold Cup, and then after that start doing the generational change, and then slowly wean those players off the national team, kind of a one by one. But it would not shock me at all to see all the late 20s and 30 somethings playing in the 2019 Gold Cup at all. In fact, I think it's almost a certainty that that's going to happen.
Yeah, and Martinez, he's expected to be announced next week. I believe they were talking about the 7th. Might be his presentation on the 7th.
The day after the Reyes Magos.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's going to happen on the 7th, which will be on Monday, if I'm not mistaken, next week. So, and then usually Mexico plays a friendly at the end of January. I'm not so sure if that's going to happen or not, but it wouldn't surprise me if it did,
And
especially
he
when
will,
you have the
he
World Cup.
will, he will get to play against JCO. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it's gonna be at the site of the Boda Roja.
Santa Clara.
Ah,
You're exactly right. I think the other game
memories,
is going to be against Chile.
memories.
So right off the bat, he's going to be able to, wash all the bad blood off in one fecha FIFA in March. Actually, it would be his debut. It would be his debut with the Mexican national team. The March fechas FIFAs that are coming up. So Tata Martino's coming in, Joel. He's faced with a generation of players that have been playing in Europe for the better part of their careers now. Of the ones that are the Chicharitos and the Coronas and the Chukis and the Guardados and so on and so forth. And then he has the younger generation of players who all play in Liga MX. I mean, outside of Chucky, there's just no one under 25 that is playing in Europe right now. And I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing. I do think that if Mexican players do play in Europe, they need to go somewhere that is better than Liga MX. And there's a lot of leagues in Europe that are not better than Liga MX. And I guess the good thing for Tata is that the base of his World Cup team are going to be players that he doesn't have to worry about flying them in 16, 17 hours for World Cup qualifiers because they're going to be right there in Mexico. And I think that's going to be a huge advantage for him once World Cup qualifying starts in 2020.
Yeah, for going into the Gold Cup though, I say right now he's inheriting a pretty good team as of right now. With some players that are in a good going through a good moment. Let's see if they're able to hold that until the summer. You know,
Sure.
because yeah, let's see if they could maintain that form. Jimenez has been doing really well in the EPL, extraordinarily well. Um, and Chicharo had a resurgence, and there's talk of him going to Valencia. Who knows? At this point, would he want to move? Seems a bit too much, especially
Right.
if he's found his form and he's with a coach or that has a style that suits him. I just don't know.
Yeah, I don't see Chicharo. I think the only way that Chicharo would move is if he moved to a team that was in the last 16 of the Champions League. That would be the only reason for him to move somewhere.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a group players doing good, and obviously Chucky has been performing well. So I mean that that counts a lot, in what how the players are doing at the moment.
It does, and it's not, and we have to add Jesus Corona to that. Hector Herrera has done well. Memo Cho has done well. So I mean, right there, we've talked about 7 guys
Yeah.
that are going to play. So I mean, the base of the national team, the base that'll take the field in the Gold Cup are still the guys that played in Russia, the guys that played in
If they
Brazil.
if they maintain that form, I would feel confident, Jon, of lifting the cup. If they maintain that form,
Well, and
you
this is
know.
the stuff that I was kind of halfway kidding, but I kind of halfway wasn't over the weekend when I posted my quote unquote predictions for 2019, where I think that he will be heavily criticized for picking the veteran team for the Gold Cup. They say es una Copa Oro para que tengan que jugar estos. Pueden llevarse a jugadores de Lobos. You know how it's going to be. They're like, you could send your
Yeah,
D team and you'll win the Gold Cup because they still think the CONCACAF is, the CONCACAF from 1991. And so, um, based on that, I mean, I do think that he's going to, I mean, he wants to see what he has. So, yeah, of course he's going to send those guys. And I do think that they will, in all likelihood, uh, probably win the tournament. But then I think that they go and lose the CONCACAF Cup if they still have that stupid thing later in the year against the U.S., which would not surprise me if if that happened at all, because I do think that at that point he would use some of the other guys, some of the younger generation. I think he want to have a team that'll be as consistent.
yeah. I mean, I wouldn't rush the younger guys into the first team, uh, just because you know, that group, as we've been talking about, is bound to go to the Olympics, and
Mm-hmm.
so they're gonna have their own proceso.
Right.
And after the Olympics, that's when they usually start integrating them into the. But we've seen some of the younger guys already. Some of these younger players already during Tuca's tenure. We saw some of these guys already play or come into camp.
Right. And then Tuca did do they do have a some video on these guys. It's obviously was done to help bring in the next for the next coach to see what it is that he has to work with. So I don't think that people quite really understood why Tuca was calling in all those guys. I mean, that was the biggest reason why, so they get video on these guys and help the new guy make a more informed decision. But for Tata Martino, the pressure is going to be immediate, and if he loses that goal.
Hello, John. You seem to have been cut off. I think John got booted. Ah, it's now a single podcast now. Lone Survivor. Oh, he's back.
For most,
John is
I
back.
would say for the entire.
You were booted off. You're back.
Como que I was booted off?
Yeah,
Kevin, I was speaking so eloquently.
I know, but you got you left, and then you just joined just now.
And I had such a I was speaking so beautifully about the crossroads. And
I was like, I might have to do this solo. I don't know for how long.
anyway,
Um,
so as I was saying, Mexico's at a crossroads right now, and Tata Martino is one of these guys that's going to have to figure out what it is that he wants to what he wants to accomplish and how he wants to accomplish it. And the big one is for the better part of the last decade, Mexico had the upper hand against the United States, and I don't necessarily think that that's going to be that's going to be the same narrative moving forward and into the next decade. I think the United States is closer to taking that away from Mexico, and we all know that when that happens, coaches lifespans get much shorter.
yeah,
So
yeah, but I mean, I think fans they should like they shouldn't place too much importance if Mexico can win a regional tournament. I mean, the ultimate goal is at the World Cup. Not just quinto partido, but to try to achieve more. And I feel a lot of times they get distracted. They
sure.
feel one bad tournament or something didn't go as they imagined it would. That that they assume that the worst is bound to happen.
Well, I mean, it's what happened to Hugo. Hugo Sanchez was going through the
Yes,
same thing. He took a veteran laden team
Yeah.
to the Gold Cup. They end up losing in the final. I mean, Frank on a good goal, but a freak goal. A goal that once in a lifetime.
Oh yeah, fair VAR, and they had their chances, too. It's not like Mexico was dominated.
Right. Yeah.
They
Exactly.
had
I
their
mean,
opportunities, and they just,
Nettie had the same shot, and his hit the top of the crossbar,
yeah.
and both of Bautista had a chance there at the end to score. He's a one-on-one with the keeper, and he decides the best thing to do is to hit it as hard as he can right at Tim Howard. So yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, there were definitely some chances there. But my point is that Ugo was going to start the generational change. He was going to bring the Carlos Velas and the Giovanni's and players into the fold starting next year, and he did. And because he lost the Olympics, the Olympic qualifying, they decided that they had to get rid of him. And frankly, I think it was in hindsight, it was just a dumb decision because one, I would have loved to have seen what Ugo would have done with the prodigious talents that he had at his disposal at the time. Mexico doesn't have a forward of his quality, teaching younger kids some of the secrets that he used to excel. I mean, it would have been outstanding, fantastic. I can't imagine why. But anyway, so yeah, and then of course, he loses to the States, he loses the Olympics, and then he's booted, doesn't get a chance to deal with a generational change. So then what happens immediately after Ugo gets booted? Sven-Goran Eriksson comes in, and his first game starts in a World Cup qualifier at the Estadio Azteca. Starts Carlos Vela and Giovanni Dos Santos, two 18-year-old kids who had no idea what they were in for, had never played a qualifier at all like that. And needless to say, it didn't work out for him. So that's what Tata Martino is going to try and avoid in this 2019. And Joel, it sounds like you're pretty bullish on his chances.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, it comes down to the group he inherits and just how they're performing. Because you could get a good group, but if the players aren't at their best, um, you're just gonna get stuck with, something similar happened to Chepo, where he had a difficult time transitioning with new players because a lot of the older players he had were just going through a rough patch. Guardado seemed like his career was over at the time. Um, Salcido was just atrocious. You could go up and down the list. Massa, you had just all these players that were playing really bad. Um, even Marquez when he had prior to him winning at what was it, at Leon, when he had been at the Red Bulls, and so
Right.
you just got so many players that all of a sudden, you know, it's at the same time they're just playing really bad, and it's really tough to when you have players that are a big part of the team all of a sudden crash simultaneously. but
No, you're
I
absolutely right. There was definitely some of that, and it looks like, as you mentioned earlier in the show, that at least for now, that the Mexican players that are the key Mexican players are
yeah,
players that are playing well.
yeah, a lot could happen in 6 months. You have
Sure.
lesiones, you have changing club, changing coach, any of these things, any of the things, man. That's what makes, I guess, that's what brings so much passion to football. Just how volatile the sport can be, how much it can change from one moment to the next. So that which is a big reason we started off praising America, because to maintain that consistency for as long as they have is no easy task. I think
It's
we
not.
get and I think as soccer fans we get derailed because we see some of these super teams, but that's they're pumping so much money, you know teams
Right.
like Man City and Barcelona, and it's in the they're like in the billions already of what they spend. So, which is not something that happens with national teams or with the majority of leagues.
It comes very close to approaching the budget that we have here at the CantinaMX podcast.
Speaking of budgets, did you hear uh, Rafa Marquez when he's saying
Yes, he
when
said we don't have
transfers,
we don't have the budget to pay for the guys that
he's well, he said we're third. When it comes to budgets, we're third on the list, but from the bottom up.
right.
And I saw a comment that said when it comes to winning titles, you're first on that list. But from bottom, he said, but from bottom up. Oh man, Twitter. God bless Twitter.
That is pretty funny. Poor Atlas. You know, they've they've for years have been I mean, at least for me, just the team that you just ridicule the most. It's just and like it's like if you already know that that's your position, why do you have to go and add fuel to the fire like that? It's just it's pretty funny. But
It,
but he's right.
it surprises me though because I felt Atlas with the backing of TV Azteca that they were gonna get like this boost,
Right.
and to hear that you're that low, there's that little money to work with. It's pretty sad, man. I'm like, what's going on at TV Azteca? I mean, I thought you guys had a bit more clout.
Well, don't
I think,
forget that they've won Morelia for years, and Morelia was a miracle goal away from being relegated.
yeah, and and I always kind of chucked it up to. I thought like, well, Morelia is more of a team that they just bought just for television rights. Just to have more teams to have, because it was pretty split at one point. Half of the teams were shown on Televisa, and the other half at TV Azteca. And I thought that was their main thing, that they weren't really running the team as much as like sponsoring them only to have more games on channel 13.
Right. Speaking
But
of TV Azteca, they have a new squad will be playing over on TV Azteca starting this season, which is Las Gloriosas Chivas Arrayadas de Guadalajara will be making their
wait, I
TV
thought that
Azteca
was
debut.
unconfirmed.
I thought that was very confirmed.
Wait, because Chivas released a statement saying, we have, and what I read today in the morning was Multimedios.
It's the same company,
Multimedios is from TV Azteca?
isn't it?
I don't know. I mean, I do know that they're still going to be on TDN, which is
So
Televisa.
so maybe it's not starting until next year then, which would make more sense anyway.
Yeah, I know they're still in TDN for
Yeah, but
pay TV,
TDN
but
is
yeah, they might be on free TV as well. But I don't. I've yet to see like an official statement from Chivas HQ.
so it's an unconfirmed rumor at this point.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they haven't said anything yet. So that's that on the televisora talk.
Well, we'll see how that plays out because I'm sure that so I guess the whole Chivas TV experiment didn't work out as well as they thought it was going to.
No, I mean they still got it going. I guess there's people that still,
They
you
still
know,
have suckers.
yeah. And for their Jornada Uno, Chivas is announcing it through Chivas TV. I don't know why they don't have TDN. I guess because it's their own ad, but they have Chivas opens the season against Cholos. Uh, yeah, I'm checking their page for an official announcement, and there's nothing there's nothing there, man, on any new TV deals.
Where you go. Chivas desmiente tener acuerdo con TV Azteca.
Yeah, which is pretty weird because TV Azteca released a promo video, with good production value, and they were making the announcement. They said they're coming back home,
Right.
and then the next day or a few hours later, Chivas put their statement. So I'm not sure what happened there, man.
Well, Joel, let's move on to other topics and let's talk transfers. There's a big transfer news that was announced earlier this week, not involving a Mexican player but an American player, Christian Pulisic, who is moving from Dortmund to Chelsea, paid 64 million euros, so about 73 million dollars for this player. Easily the highest transfer fee for an American player in history, and it's not even close. I mean, it's
And the
for a
highest
player
ever
from
for any player from the CONCACAF region.
exactly, and even that number is not even close. I mean, there's nothing is this dwarfs all other deals, and a lot of Mexico fans, look at that news and go, "Oh my God, what about Lainez? What about Chucky?" This is, and they just, they take it a little personally. Pulisic is a great player. I don't think anybody, if people don't see that, then they're just lying to themselves. And it was, English teams always pay a lot for players, especially those kinds of teams. But it's what the market bears for him. He'll be on loan with Dortmund through the end of the season, and then move on next year, which is not surprising. And we will, we'll see, a player who is set to have a crucial role in the upcoming Mexico USA rivalry for about the next 10 years. So it's interesting to me because people anytime news like this comes down, always don't waste any time to take shots at Mexico. And I'm not talking about Americans, I'm talking about Mexican fans, saying how can this happen? They just go on and on and on about how and then they think that the United States is somehow uh, overpassing Mexico when it comes to creating players. And it's just not the reality. And I think Pulisic is an outstanding player, and I think he absolutely deserves. He plays well at Dortmund. He was the only player on the national team for the U.S. in qualifying that was playing at any kind of decent level. I mean, they did not qualify because of he went into a slump. I mean, he was the only one that was scoring goals for them, and a lot of fans seem to see this as some sort of indictment on Mexican soccer, and the reality is it isn't. I mean, Christian Pulisic is like Giovanni Dos Santos. He's a player that may have been born in Mexico but was made in Europe, and had Giovanni Dos Santos had a different career advice, chances are pretty good that he probably would have been sold somewhere for 50-60 million dollars at that time. Unfortunately, things did not work out for Giovanni in that way. So Mexico fans, Joel, should. I personally think it's hilarious that anytime there's any news of any American player doing something or an American team or whatever it is either looked at as grossly overvalued or people look. It's either one or the other. Or people think that the sky is falling. And I think today it seemed like more people thought that the sky was falling.
Yeah, I don't. I just don't get it, Yon. I don't get it. It's nothing new, really. We've seen things like this before. Um, I do think. Well, it's something we've been seeing with a lot of these transfers going up. I just they probably weren't expecting that high of a transfer for a player that I guess because we don't keep tabs on him, as Mexico fans.
Well, they should because well, first of all, the number shouldn't come as a surprise because if anyone has seen the output that Dortmund has had over the past few years with some of the players that they've sold, it's they do a pretty good job of developing players and then moving them on. So that shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody. But again, the reality is, this guy's a good player, and good players are going to command a big number for them, especially to the Premier League, where the numbers are always going to be inflated anyway because it's the most competitive league in the world. And I guess to me the funny thing is people look at Linus and go, oh my God, dude, they're never getting that number for Linus. And, how could he only be going to Holland for 15 million? And they look at Chucky, oh my God, Chucky, if he goes, he's only worth. Who cares? Seriously, who cares? Why we should be more excited with the fact that in this corner of the world where Mexico doesn't get to play players like that very often, that they are playing a player, players of that caliber because it just makes them better. There's an old saying, iron sharpens iron. And that to me is the way that Mexico fans should look at. Hey, we got Pulisic, he's a great player. Well, let's go. Then it should make winning that game even better because you're playing a good team with really good players. So it's just funny to me to see the reaction of it, and and again, this is not a testament to how the U.S. produces players. This is a kid who has a European passport, so it made it very easy for him to go over and play and train where he did. Again, he's a prodigious talent. He's a player who has an unbelievable set of skill. There's no denying that. Anyone who does deny that, again, are just lying to themselves to make themselves feel better. And to me, it's just when I look at Linus and I'm reading the crawl right now on Univision that says the Ajax is ready to spend 12 million. Why on earth, Joel, would America settle for $12 million for the best player that they've had since Cuauhtemoc? Or the best prospect, I guess I should say, since Cuauhtemoc.
Yeah, and one thing I've noticed with a lot of fans is this I think they've been swayed by the media where they want any talent that comes out to leave as soon as possible because they feel that's their best option. But really, we don't have enough. You guys, people, how do you know that? How can you prove it? What examples can you give me to prove that that's the case?
Right.
That if you leave, and they can never come up with any. And it's because it's a mixed bag. We've seen players leave at an early age and then come back. Two of the players right now that are doing good in the EPL, both Chichar and Raul, they left in their 20s. Jimenez was 23 when he went to Atletico de Madrid, and Chicharo was 21, 22, and when he went straight to Manchester United.
Yeah. See, to me, and again, if you're as talented as Linus is, to me, there's no reason for him to go to a team like Ajax. It just isn't. If I were America, I would hold out Let him play this year. Let him have his Gold Cup. Let him have his
Yeah, he's
U20 World Cup. Which I mean, I personally sent him to the Gold Cup. Honest, in all honesty, and then let a team like a Manchester United say, hey, 12, we'll give you 50 for whatever the number is. I think it should be around 30.
I agree with you, Yon.
Yeah,
That would be my selling price if I'm America.
of course. I mean, it would be silly to just settle for whatever the number. I mean, it's almost insulting. Because I mean, serious. I mean, serious. I mean, America can make money with this kid. Why on earth would they get
Yeah,
rid of him for such peanuts?
yeah, and if and this is a thing that Linus should understand because I hear that he was trying to put some pressure. Um, that if he maintains his talent, I mean not his talent, he's obviously if he maintains his consistency, if he keeps playing as good as he's playing and just continues to develop, the offers are gonna come. He will go abroad. You know, I think it gets exaggerated about how Mexican teams don't allow players to leave. I don't agree with that because we've seen many players leave and players. I can't recall the last time there was a player that was held back. You know, you could talk about Pizarro all we want, but he took that money. When Chivas offered that big cash buyout, he
Mm-hmm.
took it. He could have opted and said, "No, you know what? I'm gonna let my contract with Pachuca run out then." Uh, but there was no offers. There really wasn't. That's the other thing that people forget. There really wasn't any offers from any clubs to go abroad. So I mean, but I really can't think of a player and say that the Liga MX screwed that player over just so they could make more money. I just, I mean, I can't. Um, it's very different than from we're talking about maybe 10, 15 years ago, and even then you would see how Liga MX players would like bend the knee, like Borghetti was allowed to go to Bolton. He was on loan. You would see all these players, and the clubs would let them go on loan, and it would be the Mexican clubs that would lose money. Palencia went to Espanyol on loan. He had a good season. They still didn't keep him. Uh, Cuauhtemoc left as well. To
Valladolid.
yeah, Valladolid. He got injured. You know, he missed a year. Well, I mean, he didn't get injured over there. He got injured over here. But it the injury ended up affecting him. But so yeah, Mexican teams get vilified, and I think it's the media always because I don't know. They're always pushing their agenda, always trying to create news. But just my personal experience, I always seen Mexican teams willing to cooperate as long as they get their just due. So I do think if Lainez is patient, he will end up he will go to Europe. He
Yeah,
will go to a good
exactly.
club.
But exactly, he'll go to a club that is that is willing to take a chance on him,
Yeah,
that and is willing to pay to take the chance on him, and that's what again, nothing against that. I think if he did go to Ajax, which I don't necessarily think is going to happen, but if it did happen, I would be that is a great club for a kid to learn. But I don't think that he needs to do that. I think that he can go ahead and just make the next jump. Is and I do think that he has the talent, and I do think that America, to me, just because of how much money they can make with him, there's no point in selling him for less than what his fair market value is to them, which in this case I think is definitely north of 20 million. So we'll see how that
yeah,
plays out.
yeah. that that will be interesting to see.
Joel, speaking of transfers, Chivas has once again
Ah,
signed like
wait,
18 players.
they have, but Yon, I
Oh, go ahead.
wanna I wanna share this doozy when we're talking about transfers. Um, so this is from Forbes Mexico, and it's the top 10 most expensive transfers so far of the Clausura season.
Hmm.
So the top one is Maximiliano Mesa. It's an Argentine. He's going to Monterrey, $15 million. That was the top one.
Hmm.
And then Victor Davila to Pachuca, 12.1 million. And then you have Orbelin to Cruz Azul, 12 million. Alexis Vegas from Toluca to Chivas, 9 million. Diego Valdez, he came to Santos for 6.9. Ismael Sosa, so Pachuca again, opening their wallet, 6 million for Ismael Sosa. Jonathan Rodriguez to Cruz Azul for 4 million.
The guy from
Joshim,
Santos.
excuse me?
The guy from Santos.
Yeah, I don't know where he came from. Oh, yeah, Jonathan, the Uruguayo.
Hmm.
All right. Joshi Marioton to Cruz Azul, 4 million. Adam, Adam uh, Barreiro to Monterrey for 3 million. And Jesus Molina, 3 million from Monterrey to Chivas. This so far, John, but you're saying the transfer opens up the window, right?
Well, the official international one.
Ah, international. But there hasn't been much noise about any potential signing. At least I haven't heard any rumors.
Well, no, I mean, to me, the winter transfer window to me is the desperate team transfer window. Teams that are willing to make some crazy jump. Go for a or for a quick fix uh, transfer window. So I mean, to me, it's like I guess it's nice if some players move, but I mean, there's not going to be like any like massive earth shattering transfer, in my personal opinion. There usually
Hey,
never is.
hey, Joel.
Hey, what's up, Ron?
What's up? What's up, John? What's up?
Hey, Hoyt,
What's
Ron.
up? How are you guys doing? Now, I was talking about the transfers, and I thought that was very interesting. Another speaking of transfers, this winter break, I heard that Guapa over there at their stadium, that's where they have the museum. I heard that they transferred a new big trophy case for their new title. Does that count? Sorry, guys. Just busting chops. Just busting chops. No, but all good points about Light Ness and stuff like that.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't I
As
don't.
as a,
I've
as an AME fan, what is your take on Linus? Because I've seen a few America fans that it's like, are you really a fan if you're trying to get rid of this guy?
no.
you
It's
know?
like that whole thing. I guess call me old school, but I mean it's like you have a hot girlfriend, and it's like you're trying to give it away to your boys, to somebody else.
Hey, yeah, because your best friend is Tamas Cariton. Hey, I
Yeah.
think
Well,
you
that's
look
the thing.
better with him,
So,
dude.
well, exactly. So it's like you would only give her away to like a guy that's much better looking than you, man.
Yeah, and
He looks
it's
a lot
like
better than
why?
you, but she doesn't.
And like I
Hey,
said, I mean this whole thing about Pulisic or whatever. I mean, hey, good for him, and stuff like that. But
He
I've always
deserves it.
said that. Yeah, I mean, it's like it doesn't bother me one bit because I mean, you know, you know, I'll put it to you this way. For me, the U.S. Pulisic could be like Hugo Sanchez in reference where you had this one player that was one of a kind, but in reality if you don't have the team to back him up, it's like, okay, what's going to happen? And I think right now the U.S. is going to be in a transition phase. So I think, and I hope I'm wrong, because but I don't see. I don't see him being, obviously, he's going to carry the team and get them into the glory. I mean, that's just happened to Mexico, in the past before, like, where we thought Hugo Sanchez was going to take, the team to the next level, or even thought the golden generation of 2005 was going to take the team to the next, like Giovanni Dos Santos or whatever, But hey, good for Chelsea, good for, Dortmund and stuff like that. In terms of the spazzing out from the press, regarding Linus or Chucky and stuff like that, I think it's stupid. I really do. You know, um, it guarantees nothing. You know,
Well, I
and
mean,
I
not only
and
that,
it,
Ron, but what it does, it exposes the ignorance of the person who's reporting this or writing their commentary about it. Because just like you said, I mean, Pulisic is like Hugo Sanchez in the sense that he's like a once in a lifetime kind of guy, and not necessarily a product of the
but
system. He was just like a prodigy, just
but that could have that could have an adverse effect, because now they're going to think, oh, this guy's going to be a wonder boy and stuff like that. I mean, at
just
least,
like
like,
they thought with Cubo Torres.
Hugo Torres, or even Freddie Adu, or stuff like that. It's like, oh, this is going to be the oh, this is it. This is a player that's going to take the team to the next level. And I'm sorry to say, one player doesn't do that. Right? It's a system, and unfortunately, the U.S. doesn't have that system. Where you're just producing those type of players, and for the most part, Mexico doesn't have it either.
No,
So
I
it's
mean, I
not like I'm
remember
not.
when Freddie Duke came out, I was talking to my American soccer friends, and they were just kind of like, "Oh my God, this is it. This is the guy that does it." I'm like, I was like, "Look,
Yeah,
dude, you understand that Brazilian clubs turn away 30 Freddie Du's a day."
yeah, yeah. I don't care about producing one, Pulisic or one, like Ness. I care more about a team coming in from the, under 15s and stuff like that, from the federation,
You would
and
rather
having
produce 12 Hector Reynosos
yeah, you know,
as opposed to one Christian Pulisic.
yeah. I mean, I'd rather have a system in place. I'd rather have a system in place where the team, even if they're not superstars, they know what they're playing for. And having, and I mentioned this in Twitter, or in our private feeds. I mean, I can remember, 20 years back, 15 years back,
What
you
happened
know.
34 years back, Ronnie?
No, I'm just
Do
saying,
the
it's
math.
like,
Do the math. What happened
it's like
34 years back?
Dwight York. Remember, when he was
Oh yeah.
like, I was like, and I remember it was the same spazzing out from the press. They're talking about, oh my God, Trinidad and Tobago, they're gonna, they're gonna get on par with Mexico, or when, like, they had, Costa Rica had, 20 something players playing abroad, and Mexico only had, what I think at the time, just two. And well, one was Rafa Marquez, and the other one was Torrado, but he was kind of in limbo, because he never really established his career in Europe, you know. Or even Honduras had there was a time where they had, like, 20, 30 players playing abroad, not in top divisions, but just in Europe. And that's what they don't get. It's like, oh, it's like, it's just as long as you're in Europe, even if it's in the second division, even if you're in the championship, and it's like, that was just good enough. And it's like, it's the same argument. And I think it holds true, you know, today as well. It's like, I don't care if you have, 100 players out there, 200 players. I really, it's like, has that really helped? I mean, has that really helped? For a while, I mean, Colombia had a lot of players too. Uruguay had a lot of players. You know, Chile had a lot of players, and they were doing pretty bad at the national team level, up until recently, where they started to get better. I don't know. It's just, I care more about the system. I care more about what is the team, or what is the federation doing to make sure that there's a system in place, and where the players, they're able to go from the under 15s to the under 17s to the under 20s to the 23 under 23, and then on to the senior national team. That's what I care about.
Well, the guy that was in charge of that for FMX Food is now the general manager of LA Galaxy,
Dennis Cloyson?
Dennis DeCloise.
Dick Cloyson? You know what? I'm not trying to knock on the dude, but
You're gonna knock on
I,
him. No
no, it's just,
disrespect, but I'm gonna disrespect you right now.
you know, you know,
You think his shit stinks, and everyone else does.
I don't think that he was, I don't think he, it's, I don't think he's a, we've had Grifa before, you know, we had, who were the other guys that they had?
But it's different, different there, Ron. I mean, cause Grifa, he was mostly he's Angel Grifas is for our younger listeners. He's uh he's from Argentina, and he's like a talent scout, and he's one of their, you know, he discovered a lot of very talented players like Batistuta,
Tooth, yeah, and all those type of guys.
going way back there. And he came to Mexico. FMF hired him years back,
And
and
to my knowledge, there's two teams. Every team in the league. I'm sorry, it was what?
yeah,
Every league, every team
I
in the
know what
league.
Ron's gonna say.
And I think the only two. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was Pumas and Atlas who did not allow that. Or was Chivas also one of the teams that did not allow?
I think it was Chivas was one of them, man.
Okay, yeah.
I yeah, I think it was Pumas. They were like, yeah, this we thanks but no thanks. But supposedly he was just gonna go around to and to give advice, but he never did. I mean, the work, like the type of work that the close does is the close does more like a lot of administration, a lot of like he does a lot of work, man. With scouts, with he's very hands on. He's you
But
know
here's the thing though, the work that's been doing the success that we've had at the youth levels. It's not because really of the federation. It's more of the clubs.
yeah,
You know,
but it still helps when you have someone
Yeah, but
that
I do
is
think the
very
Confederation
professional
subsidizes that more than you know. They help the clubs.
and he's not a dude that is like the compadrismo,
Look.
that is known in FMF, where it's like I'm putting this guy because
You mean
he's my sister's son-in-law.
as opposed to Memo Cantu?
Yeah.
yeah.
So I mean, like the close, just how he got some games for Mexico in Europe. He negotiated that,
What
things like that.
revolutionary method oil did he use
He
to
he
get his games?
he called it the federations directly.
Instead of doing what? Going through what?
Going through all these mediators, through promoters or sponsors, trying to see what's available. Um,
Packagers.
But remember, in the '98 process, there was also games played in Europe too. So it's like I don't think we should bend over backwards. Oh, it's because the guy got us games and
That has
you
nothing to
know
do with it. It was just he just had just as hard as put out it just you know I get what you're saying, Ron, and I totally agree with you. But the problem is that there needs to be a very rigid structure in place in order for that to happen. And every time that clubs want to, they're very serious and they want to. As you're saying, a lot of
and
people
no,
bring on,
yeah,
it never happens because it never lasts long enough because you know it's like that scene in Nuestra Familia Los Nobles at the beginning when the dad says, "Kid, I want you to go to Chiapas and take this contract to the governor. We'll get it signed and we'll get this this highway done." And the kid sends his chauffeur, because he's going to go to Miami for the weekend. And that's just, to me, that's just kind of the way that the things are run. Not in all clubs, and not necessarily at this level of FedEx, but it certainly has happened in the past, and it would not shock you if it happens again
you know
in the future. So there's just not enough consistency. I think the close brought that consistency,
but
and that to me is why I like the guy.
I attribute more of the success of the youth and even the attention on the fact that the networks are able to see this as a revenue generating events throughout the summer, the summer months,
Mhm.
more so than any individual per se or any executive from the league. uh I mean, that's one of the reasons. And you guys know this. I mean, prior to prior to the Athens cycle, the Athens, the Olympic team that failed to qualify into, was it 2004, 2000
Hey,
Olympics? What? Yeah, 2000. Yeah, in Athens, no one really gave a shit about the youth. And the reason they started to give, basically started talking about it is because Mexico, the teams, were failing. We're not doing, we're not doing well, and I hate to say it, but they started making a fuss out of it because people were trying to blame other executives within the federation, because there was a power struggle within the federation in that time and during those times between the Lebrijas, the dudes from Atlante, um, even the Burrillo Escarragas and stuff like that. There was,
because they're running the Femex food right now.
yeah. So I mean, there was a lot of power struggle. There was a lot of internal power struggles within the federation and the league itself. So they were using the youth fracasos as a means to you know, basically pin those failures onto your opponents, within the federation. So I mean, that's really how that started, and that's why you started to hear more about it. The youth team. But again, like nowadays, from 2005 and onward, the attention has been given more so by the networks, because it's a way for them to generate more revenues, in programming. Um,
Well, no, the key word there is is uh is revenue.
yeah,
No,
yeah,
you're right though. I mean, because I remember that night in 05 when they won the U17 World Cup. It was the first time they were playing a game at the an NFL regular season game at the Azteca, and during the commercial break they would show the highlights of Mexico beating Brazil, and the announcers like, man, all of a sudden this place went freaking banana. So it was obvious that they saw that it was a pretty big market for them to start doing well in the youth. So
yeah. As long, if the networks give it the attention, and also even with the second division, and I've always said, and I've been saying this for years,
the
one of
second
the
division
reasons.
is a travesty.
Exactly, and one of the reasons why is because the lack of attention, or the way the media cover it. They've all like it would always piss me off, like when they would refer to the second division as La Liga del Infierno, like it's like the Hell League. It's like, no, I mean, you're not watching it because it's the Champions League. You don't have to sell it like the Champions League. That it's the best of the best, the creme of the creme. But there's other ways you can market it. You know, people. I mean, people watch, and this, John. I mean, people watch high school sports. They watch college sports. You're not.
I just finished working the high school championships the week before Christmas here in Texas.
Yeah, if you can market it, and you know how to market it, you'll get the people and stuff like that. So, but like I said, I mean, I know that the Clois has done some good things and stuff like that, but I didn't see him as the savior
Well,
either of.
I don't think he was a savior, but let me just put this around: who would you rather have making the decisions that need to be made to describe what you want? Who would you rather have making those decisions, De Cloise or Memo Cantu?
It makes no difference to me.
Oh, come on, no man, this way.
Well,
I don't believe you. I don't believe you.
look, Cantus. He's a I met the dude, and actually met the dude a couple times um, throughout La Volpe's process and stuff like that, and I ran into him again in 2006 in Germany and stuff like that, and yeah, he, and I think, if I recall, I think I even blogged about it, in the prior to the World Cup over there in Germany. Like, he was if I'm not mistaken, he was the press officer or something like that, and there are times where he didn't give the right itinerary. I think there was like 2 times where it kind of pissed us off. Yeah, yeah, I understand he could be a dick, you know.
So you're telling me that the guy that can't even get the itinerary right for the press is you think it
But,
makes no difference
but
being that guy
no,
at the
but I'm
press?
saying, but what I'm saying is the guy also has connections too, you know.
But that's the whole reason he has the gig is
Yeah.
all his connections.
Hey, man, I think there's a reason the Galaxy. I I mean, to me, I think there's a reason he made it as far as he did. Going all the way to selecciones nacionales, uh, and and why the Galaxy just drove a uh, dumpster truck full of money to him. And I feel that he's gonna help resuscitate Gio's career.
Really?
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe that's what maybe this is a whole.
yeah.
Here's what I think happened. I think Femex sent him to LA Galaxy to scout the very fertile soccer grounds in LA and figure out
Um,
which ones are Mexican, which ones aren't, and start
I
filtering those guys to Liga MX and of course the secondary, his secondary mission, of course, Joel was to rescatar a Joel.
so how do you think that he left because of John DeLuisa?
I heard he wasn't getting along with Memo,
Mm-hmm.
but I heard that it's just a lot of money they had offered him because they made him two offers.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, turned the first one down, and then they just came with more money. So
Now,
I
question,
guess they
question.
were like,
Are they? I don't know if are they playing any international tournaments. I don't know if they placed high enough. I
I don't
didn't. I
think they even
didn't.
qualified to the league. I think they didn't even make to the league playoffs.
So I mean, really, I don't know, but I mean, you're spending a
He
lot of.
Well,
he got he already hired Boca Juniors Boca Juniors former coach.
that was his first
Uh,
move.
yeah, Schelotto, and
He was a former MLS player.
Yeah, true. He was former. He was former.
yeah. But I mean, I think dude knows what he's doing. Professional dude. But that's my hope, man. If he could rescue Gio, just a great talent, man. I'm disappointed how people have given up for him for his career choice. Never understood
It
that.
is pretty sad.
Imagine losing your friend just because you took a high-paying job somewhere. It's like you're not gonna talk to you no more because you're not working where we want you to work.
Shit.
Uh, so, so I mean, I hope, man.
How dare Gio make a decision based on his career or not our not
Do you say?
our wishes
mean,
and hopes for him.
do you think he even? I mean, let's say that take away the MLS, the MLS hate and stuff like that. I mean, do you really think he still has the tools to make it to the next World Cup?
Giovanni, sure,
You do,
if he puts his mind to it.
but do you think he can get there playing in the MLS?
At his age, why not?
No, there's, but there's like to my, I mean, right now, I mean, what Galaxy they don't have any international tournaments right now. I mean, they don't have that international what they say el roce internacional right now.
No, I mean, I think I think there's something, and John says it all the time. Gio's mostly known for his career with Selección
Yeah, that's true.
than what
No
he's
denying that.
done at the club level. But we also can't deny just the talent he has, man. I mean, in my book, he's the first Mexican to score a hat trick in the World Cup. He was, you know, he kind of got robbed there
Oh,
by
true. Now, oh
dude.
yeah, what he got 2 goals taken away, if I recall, against Cameroon, right?
He did.
Yeah, against
Yeah,
then and he still scored a third one.
Yeah,
I mean, what he's
you're
done
right.
with the national team, very few players can make that claim of what he's done with selección, man, and I think he fell hard. I think there's something going on with him. It's more mental. I don't think I don't think his quality just dropped automatically because he landed in the U.S.
I think, I no, and I have to agree with you. I think at this time, I think it had to do a little bit with the coaching and the preferences. The coaching preferences with
Yeah.
Osorio. I'll be the
Oh,
first
as
one to
well.
admit that. Well, yeah, and it's not, and that's no knock on Osorio. So I mean, every coach is going to have their preferences and the way they play. I mean, that shit. La Volpe. Sometimes La Volpe would do this, and even La Puente was, as much as I respect La Puente and stuff like that, there are times where I didn't always agree with, what he was doing, but
What's so frustrating about Osorio, and this just kills me, is that he plays a certain way against Germany and fucking just destroys them, right? I mean, let's be honest.
What's that?
Against Germany, the way that he's played it, it's like, why didn't he play like that, like the entire tournament? That absorbing counter. Like, I mean, for God's sakes, just incredible to me that you didn't see the potential counterattacking he had with the players he had.
It's not too long ago I actually had this discussion with a friend. Because right now Germany, because how the League of Nations or whatever it's called, how they're kind of struggling.
Mm-hmm.
And saying, there's like, right now that Germany's in shambles and stuff like that, and it's like it sucks because people kind of like are taken away from Mexico's win against Germany in the World Cup. But the funny thing about it is prior to that, they were the sure team to beat. They were the world champions, the guys that they were going to win it, and it seems like like Mexico exposed them or whatever, or and it just like it diminishes the win. You know what I mean? And that's
if you want to look at it like that, be my guest. I still see it as
the
defending World Cup champion.
That's the way I see it too. But I'm just saying that's a conversation that I had with a buddy, and it's like, and it's funny because I even heard that in South Africa when when Mexico beat France. It's like, well, they were on the way down. I said, but you didn't really know that then. I'm granted, in the 2010 World Cup, France did struggle to get into the World Cup, and then you had that Henry, remember that handball against the Irish,
right,
and stuff like that. But you didn't know that they were in a downward spiral. I think Mexico exposed that, kind of like similar to what Mexico did to Germany in the past World Cup. But I digress.
Yeah, but I don't think that. I mean, back then the France national team. They were in a much worse shape than Germany was. I mean, the Germany thing was a complete surprise.
Yeah.
The French national team thing was not, because they were like just a dumpster fire for them before that whole tournament.
Yeah,
they were a complete mess. So Mexico caught them, but again, but the Germany. I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong. Okay, so they might have lost a few. I mean, you don't think that Germany is not going to contend for the World Cup and be right in the thick of the things for the World Cup again? Of course they are. I mean, they'll be just fine. They just Mexico caught them on a good day.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think it diminishes it at all.
No, I mean I agree. I agree with you on that.
So it's still Germany. I mean, let's not lose sight of that fact.
Changing subjects real quick. I finally was able to catch on to the podcast where you guys talk about America's championship in the Prode. Damn, boy. You were really salty on that one, weren't you?
Hey, you guys just caught up. I still think America's gonna overtake Chivas in campeonatos, but I don't. Hey, just the fact that it's a different trophy, that says it all to me, man.
Well, not just a different trophy, but then the name of the tournament is different.
Yeah, Torneo Prode. The different trophy, man. It looks like the off-brand cereal bag. Like if you buy Fruity Pebbles, it comes in a box and it has the Flintstones,
but it's
and there's
not,
a toy
it's
and
not Fruity Pebbles. And it's like that's the
No,
grocery store knockoff of Fruity Pebbles. It's like
yeah, it's
you know it wouldn't be Fruity
the,
Pebbles. It'd be
no
like the Dr Pepper here at the HEB is Dr H because of
Dr.
Dr.
H, but
Whatever. Yeah,
the Fruity Pebble knockoff is Dino Bites.
ándale, ándale.
It comes in a bag. You know, no toy
That's
surprise, no nothing, dude.
that's what the Pro Day is Dinobites. It's the
Why?
Dinobites Championship.
Yeah, well, why would you buy a cereal in a bag, Ron? That's like dog food comes in a bag. You
It's because you're being sustainable. Zero waste. Zero waste. Zero waste. It's like you don't even need plastic. You just go in there with your mason jar. You know.
Oh man, but hey, Cruz Azul also doesn't escape this. Cruz Azul and Monterrey, they're guilty as charged.
That is very true. Because what was the one that Monterrey won? It was the one of the year of the World Cup, right? It was like the one after the Pro Day.
Yeah,
It was
the Mexico.
Mexico '86. Mexico '86.
And which is the one that Cruz Azul won?
Uh,
70.
it's not, yeah, the '71.
Mexico 70 and yeah, the only Pro Day
That
was
was the
called
first
Pro
year.
Day.
The first year of the Liguilla. I thought the
Dude,
Chivas won the first year of the Liguilla.
no,
Who's that? No, the
it
first
was
team.
no.
I think America won the first league
Yeah.
against Toluca.
Toluca, yeah, I was about to say that they
Yeah,
had
yeah,
to do
yeah,
a playoff match against the Diablos and they won it.
yeah. Yeah. That was
Hadn't they already won though? Technically, they had already won.
no, no, no. That was the liguilla. Technically, there was a playoff match. I think like in the '40s, Asturias or one of those teams where it was like a you know end of the season tied on points, and then they had to play a playoff match or some shit like that. It was something like that. But as far as the competition, knowing it from that was the way it was gonna define the championship. That was the first one was America Toluca back in 71. But yeah. Uh, hey, before I go, what are your predictions for champions, or at least four semifinalists for this
Dale,
coming
joven.
season?
LB, are you thinking LB, Ron?
My four are this. I think America. I think Toluca. I think Pachuca, and I think Tigres.
Wait, no Blue Cross.
No, no.
Oh, that they brought four seleccionados, man. They got some peruchos. Last time Cruz Azul won the league title, they had a Peruvian international in the squad.
Oh, Joel dropping
Yeah,
the
I
the
think
ceviche.
Toluca. I think Toluca's. I think Toluca did pretty well, even despite losing 3-0 to or 3-2 to America. I think they were a very compact team, and I think Hernan Cristante had the team playing well. Um, uh, so I think it's gonna be Tigres, Pachuca, America. Um, that's who I think. What about you guys?
Yeah, it's hard to discount Ame. I see them challenging again, but I also see Cruz Azul, man. I think I think they did well to with the transfers again, man. Pelaez has shown one thing is that he's pretty good at bringing in players, um, and so I see those two teams again in the picture, and I'll put the Monterrey as well. I'll put him up there. The two Monterrey teams, Tigres and Rayados. Those would be my four. I'm not too sure on Pachuca. I know they did two big investments, uh, but I don't know. I don't know too much about their coach. So who knows? But those will be my top four.
That's Not bad. I think that'll be. I think America and Cruz Azul for sure. And I do think they're the two best teams in the league right now. I don't think it'll be the two Norteño teams. I think it'll just be one. It'll be the one that doesn't win the Conca Champions because I think that they are easily the favorites of the Conca Champions, and they're going to be on opposite ends of the bracket. So the only place they can meet is the final. So I do think that it'll be whoever doesn't win that, because I think the one who wins the final will be, okay, we won this. Whatever happens, happens. And the fourth one will probably be a surprise team. So I'm gonna surprise everyone and say Atlas. No, I'm kidding. I'm not gonna say Atlas. I don't think anybody would ever do that. It would be somebody like a Morelia, kind of like the last time. Just one of the little smaller market teams. I don't think Pumas makes it a year. I think that they'll struggle to make like 22, 23 points. I don't think they'll get their full complement of the 26 points, a minimum 26 points needed for the Liguilla. So,
all right, boys, I got to get going. Pleasure.
Well,
fun.
Thanks for stopping by, Ron. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Season
likewise. Likewise.
Hope your 2019 goes extremely well for you, except in the department of your chosen team winning championships. Other than that, hope your 2019 is outstanding.
Likewise, guys. All right, you guys be good, okay?
Later, Ron.
All right, bye-bye.
Ron De Luna joining us here on the CantinaMX podcast.
Yes, pleasant surprise. It's been a while since El Águila Mayor had flown by here.
That's right. Had I had my music, I would have introduced him appropriately and accordingly. Yeah. I don't think Ron has heard all of our new America drops that we have.
No, he would be pleasantly surprised.
I think so. I like that girl. We'll have to find those drops. Hopefully, I did have the stuff with me, but I'll be honest, I was too lazy. I didn't want to hook it up tonight. I'm at my sister's house. It's a kind of a weird dynamic right now.
Oh.
So, because I'm up here in the Metroplex. So, Joel, before we leave, I do want to tell you about this very interesting conversation I was overhearing last night about 2 a.m. at the IHOP as I finished my work. It was pretty late. It was after 1 a.m. And so we go and do the the late night dinner breakfast, because I hadn't eaten since like 11 o'clock in the morning. So I go to the IHOP, and there's this group of the guys sit at this table having a very animated conversation about, to my surprise, I heard Hugo Sanchez, and that sadly, and I'm not going to lie, I thought they were talking about Club de Cuervos, because that was the first thing I heard was Hugo Sanchez. but then I heard Rafa, and then I heard, and I kid you not, Jared Borghetti as the 3 best Mexican players to play in Europe, and I was like, you have got to be kidding me. So luckily the bathroom was over there, so I was like, well, I'm gonna go to the bathroom, ostensibly to go to the bathroom to wash my hands, but really to let these guys know that they're being pendejos. And because one guy was just totally trashing Chicharito. I'm saying, dude, have you not paid attention to his career? And so I go and wash my hands, come out, and I say it's Hugo Rafa Chicharito, and it's not even close. And this guy's like, yeah, but all his goals were trash, man. All he did was get lucky. I was like, and I was just shocked. I was absolutely shocked. I was absolutely shocked. I looked at him. I said, dude, you know that those goals count the same as the pretty ones too, right? And he's like, yeah, well, And his girlfriend actually started laughing. It was pretty funny. But
well, if that's lucky, Chicharito should be playing scratchers, man. He'll be a multimillionaire by now.
Yeah, exactly.
Should be doing the lottery, because he scored. He has scored in every tournament he has played in, and with every club. He's already at over 100 goals
in Europe alone.
And if you compare him to all the other Latin American strikers that have achieved that, you're comparing him to the top ones only. that I think that's part of why he gets so much flack. He gets compared to these world class players. So I mean, I wouldn't say he's world class, but he's very close, or he's been at
Well,
times.
well, I
You
think that
know?
in his when he was at his best, what made him world class. I mean, wasn't necessarily his ball control or his skill on the ball or what made Chicharito world class was his ability to get open in very tight spaces and find the
Oh
ball.
yeah, yeah.
And for
That's
people to think that's just luck, I mean, come on, let's be serious.
yeah. His goal, like they've compared when he was on Man U, they were comparing his minute to goal ratio, and he did a lot better than some very top strikers like Ruud van Nistelrooy and other players like that. Is Yeah, it's very interesting to see how harsh like Mexico fans could be on some of their own
Well, I
players.
mean, look at the way that they're treating Giovanni now. I mean, people
Yeah,
treat Giovanni, and I mean, I make fun of Giovanni all the time on the show, but I mean, we're the stuff that we say about him is pretty tame compared to how people treat Giovanni. It's heartbreaking. It's horrifying.
yeah. Oh man. So so they rated the Borg, huh? The highest, even
Yeah,
though he only played like half a season with Bolton.
and scored like 3 goals. Yeah, exactly. It was just yeah. It was. I mean,
Oh,
frankly, it was too much. It was, and of course, and then the guy who had agreed to cheat, he goes, "This guy knows what he's talking about, man. This guy knows." Yeah,
oh man.
and I told the other guy, I said, "Dude, if you're looking for pretty, I said, go watch ice skating, man."
Yeah, no man. Cheech has accomplished a lot already. It's going to be difficult for another player to come in, Mexican striker to come in and knock him off. You know, uh, he's very accomplished, and he's very resilient. Every time we think he's down, he finds a way.
That's right. He's
Because when he was at Real Madrid,
he's the Terminator.
eh, yeah, yeah. So I mean, that's a player we could be very proud of. You know,
Frankly, I don't understand how people can be down on the guy. I mean, he really has had just a absolutely, has he had dry spells, sure, but for him, as you point out, to score and score consistently over the course of his career, and to do it for as long as he has, yeah,
well, John, in part was because he boycotted the media. I will say the Mexican media, the Spanish media, and then for a good while they had like an anti-Chicharo campaign. When it was like you could just tell they were just hating on him, and because he wouldn't grant them interviews, and they would always say negative things or play clips of him saying one thing, which can easily be taken out of context. And I think it's the one thing I've always noticed, just how easily as fans we could be persuaded by the media. If you hear something enough, you just start accepting it. And I know because I grew up like that with a lot of these beliefs that until like I'd say one of the things was in the forums and getting in arguments and you have people questioning your beliefs and all of a sudden you have to like back them up and then you start realizing, oh shit, wait a minute, maybe it's not how I thought it was.
yeah. Well, I mean, there's a very interesting show, however, that I think you should watch. I think you'd really enjoy it I'm assuming you're a history buff.
Yes, I am, sir.
If and this is a show that I think I recommend it to all of the audience members of the CantinaMX podcast. A show called The Day the Universe Changed. Came out in the 80s. A gentleman by the name of James. This is 1986 when this came out. and I want to say they're on. They used to be on YouTube. I don't know if they're on anymore, but I definitely look for them. They're definitely somewhere out there. And what he does is he takes, he takes us from the advent of the plow, because the plow is really like the first staple toward modern time. And then each consequent episode, as history progresses, he takes one moment that changes the way that human beings thought about the world from literally from 1 second to the next. Like it just what they thought just was completely wrong. And there's this new fact, this new universal truth that you have to accept. Hence, in the end of the day, the universe changed. It's an outstanding show. I highly recommend it. It'll blow you away. Yeah.
Is it on YouTube?
It used to be. I don't know if it still is on YouTube anymore.
I will look for it. So it's called the Day the World Changed?
The universe changed.
The universe. Nice. We should do something similar. The day Mexican football changed.
It looks like, it does look like they're all on there.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll have something to view tonight.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I highly recommend. He also had another show called Connections. The original is also very good. That I highly recommend if no one has ever seen that show. James Burke is a brilliant guy. Well, I think we should probably wrap it up here. We've been on for about an hour and 45 minutes or so.
Yes, sir. I had it to work. Yeah, but don't give.
I understand. Well, good to have you on, Joel. I know that we've made our predictions and here for 2019. Hopefully, we'll have some more folks join us on the podcast next week.
Yes.
But it's good to be
back. And we could do team by team soon. Preview.
Sure. Well, I mean, it's easier to preview a team when you've seen what they've done. So I think that
that's true.
If you're available, maybe we can do my Sunday drive home podcast.
Yeah, for sure. I will be.
Excellent.
I will be. Yeah.
Sounds good. Well, we'll do that on Sunday night then. So there you go. We'll have a special John is driving home edition of the CantinaMX podcast. So on Sunday night.
With a kolache pit stop?
More than likely, yes. More than likely with a kolache pit stop. We'll see how it goes. Okay. Well, Joel, thank you for joining us, and Happy New Year to you, sir.
All right. Likewise, John.
Thank you. My name is John Jagu for Joel Aceves and Rhonda Luna. We appreciate y'all taking the time to listen to the CantinaMX podcast. And we will talk to you guys again next week. Or actually on Sunday. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.